Good afternoon, everyone. So, first, please let me know that you can hear me properly or not. Okay, very good. Okay, thank you, everyone. So, in my previous class, I have discussed about the what is ecosystem, what are the different component ecosystem, and in them we have seen that there are two types of ecosystem, in which one is artificial one and another is natural one. And under the natural ecosystem, we have seen that the system which can be the ecosystem which can be created naturally will be considered as natural ecosystem, right? And there are some ecosystems which can be created by human, which can be created by us. These can be considered as artificial ecosystem, and a very good example was the gardens and aquariums. You have seen that in the aquarium how an interaction has been occurred, and in the garden also you can find a pond or a lake type of system will be there. Some birds, some insect, some plants are there, and they are making an ecosystem. So today I will discuss about the some levels of ecosystem. That means living organisms of the ecosystem can be differentiated into some groups. What are they? These groups are producer, consumer, decomposer. Okay. So on which basis? According to the manner in which they obtain their substances from the environment. According to which they obtain the substances from the environment, organisms can be classified into three. So what are they? I will write it on the board. So these are producers, consumers, and decomposers. Okay. So now you know on which basis organisms are classified, and these three are the main classification. What are they? Producer, consumers, and decomposers, right? So who are called as producers? Producer means organisms which can prepare their own food, right? So organisms can make their organic compounds like sugar and starch from inorganic substances using the radiant energy of the sun in the presence of chlorophyll, right? And this process is considered as photosynthesis. So who can perform photosynthesis? A very easy answer, that is all plants. So all green plants, certain blue-green algae, cyanobacteria, they can produce food by photosynthesis, and that is why they will come under the producers. Okay. So I am repeating that some organisms can prepare their food like glucose, starch from the inorganic substances in the presence of radiant energy which they will get from the sun, and in the presence of water, carbon dioxide, and chlorophyll, they can prepare their own food, and this process is considered as photosynthesis, and these can be performed by some organisms like all green plants, blue-green algae. Now if I consider the example of some producers, so we can write all green plants and blue-green algae. Blue-green algae, or these can be considered as cyanobacteria. Next group is, so producer can make their own food. They are not dependent for the food on the others. But next one is consumers. Consumers are dependent on producer either directly or indirectly for getting their food. Okay. So these organisms which consume the food prepared by the producers directly from the producer they are getting it, or indirectly by feeding on other consumers is called as consumers. Okay. So how they are considered, how consumers are considered, what is the meaning of directly or indirectly? Directly means that organisms, in general meaning of consumer is that organisms which are dependent on other organisms for their food. That means organisms which are dependent on the producers for getting their food are called as consumers. And this dependent may be direct or indirect. So what is the meaning of direct? Just take an example. If you consider that a grasshopper and a plant. So grass is a plant producer and grasshopper can eat the plant directly. So grasshopper is the consumer. What is the meaning of dependent indirectly? Indirectly means a consumer can eat another consumer who is eating the producer. Okay, like a lion. You can see the food chain. So, or a tiger. A deer is eating the grass and a tiger is eating the deer. So, tiger is also a consumer. That is the meaning of indirectly dependent. That is why we have to always mention that organisms which are dependent on the producer directly or indirectly are considered as consumers. So, these consumers can be classified into some groups. You have already read in some junior classes herbivore, carnivore, I am writing in short, okay, carnivore, omnivore, parasites. So, what is the meaning of herbivore? Organisms which are taking the plant products as their food are considered as herbivore. So, as you know that goat is an example of herbivore. Carnivore means organisms which can eat only other animal or animal products can be considered as carnivore, such as tiger. And omnivore means organisms which can both plants and animal products can be considered as omnivore, like human. And another one is parasites. Parasites means some organisms which are dependent on other organisms. So, and these organisms can be considered as host. So, from the host body they are getting food and shelter. So, these are considered as parasites. Such as example that some worm can survive in the human intestine, as you know. So, these are considered as parasites. Parasites always will not try to kill the host, but sometimes it may damage the host body and host die. But they will always, they don't try to kill the host, because from the host they are getting food and shelter. So, consumers can be grouped by this manner. Okay. And the last one is decomposers. So, who are considered as decomposer? You have seen that some leaf may fall down on the ground, some excreta of the animals. Just a minute. Okay. So, some organisms which consume the food products, like what happens when the organism dies. Just imagine what happens when the organism dies. Okay, so the microorganism comprising like bacteria, fungi break down the dead materials and waste products of the organism, and these microorganisms will come under the decomposers. So, who are considered as decomposers? Decomposers are those organisms who can eat, who can get their nutrients from the dead organic materials. Okay, so these are considered as decomposers, and examples of some microorganisms of fungi. They can break down complex organic substances into simple inorganic substances, and that will go into the soil and that will be used up by the plants again. Okay, so this is the main role of decomposers. Decomposers are playing a main role in maintaining a cycle or maintaining the ecosystem, right? So, these are the different organisms, these are classified according to that. Next, step we will read about the food chains and food web. Food chain, food web. So what is the meaning of food chain? That organisms, a series of organisms feeding on one another. A series of organisms that are feeding on one another, and these series of organisms taking part in the biotic levels, and they are forming a chain like structure. As this chain is forming on the basis of the food, that means who will eat whom, on the basis of that is why this chain is considered as food chain. Okay, so thus each step of the food chain is considered as trophic level. So there is another important term you have to know, that is trophic level. Okay, so what is the meaning of trophic level? That each step of the food chain is considered as trophic level. Now I will show you some 2-step food chain, 3-step food chain, 4-step food chain. Now if I consider 2-step food chain, what will be the example? A very good example is that elephant is eating a plant. Okay, so elephant and plant and elephant, 2-step is there. So this is the example of 2-step food chain. Now if I consider the 3-step food chain, what will be the example of 3-step food chain? That means 3 steps will be there in this particular food chain. A very good example is a deer is eating grass and a tiger is eating a deer. So what will be the food chain? We will like it like that: grass, deer, then next arrow tiger. So you can see, so this is the 3-step food chain. Like this, if we consider the 4-step food chain, another example is that a goat is eating plant, a fox is eating on goat, and a lion is eating on fox. So you can find that 4 steps are there. So this is an example of 4-step food chain. And the last one is the 5-step food chain. What is the example of 5-step food chain? It is a very common example, that is grass, then grasshopper, then frog, then snake, then hawk or eagle. Okay, so you can find 5 steps. So this is a very good example of 5-step food chain. Now I have mentioned about the trophic levels. Okay, so these consumers this trophic level can be differentiated into some parts. Like let me tell you first one thing, that consumers can be categorized into primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, quaternary consumer. Okay, so again we can find the different levels of consumer, and what are these levels? Primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer, and quaternary consumer. Okay, so these are the different levels of consumer. So how will you differentiate between them? As you know that in general meaning of consumer is organisms which are dependent on the producer directly or indirectly for their food. So primary consumer means organisms which are directly dependent on the producer. Okay. Secondary consumer means they are dependent on the primary consumer. Tertiary consumer means they are dependent on secondary consumer, and quaternary consumer means they are dependent on tertiary consumer. Okay, so these are the some levels of consumer. Now if I draw a pyramid, so this one is the producer, after that primary consumer, after that secondary consumer, after that tertiary consumer. Okay, so this is the this pyramid is showing the different trophic levels. So let me discuss again that part, that the different levels of consumer. So herbivores are the primary consumer, carnivores, small carnivores are the secondary consumer, large carnivores are the tertiary consumers. So you can see that these can be so first trophic level, second trophic level, third trophic level, fourth trophic level. So these are the different steps of food chain, and these can be considered as different trophic levels. So herbivores or the primary consumers will come into the second trophic level. So don't confuse with that if we consider the consumer, so this one is the primary consumer, secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. Now if I consider the trophic levels, so this one is the first trophic level, this one is the second trophic level, third trophic level, fourth trophic level. When we will count the trophic level, we have to count it from the producer, from the first. Okay, so these are the different trophic levels in the food chain. Now another part I have told you, that is food web. So what is the meaning of food web? Food web means that in the environment only one food chain is not playing a role. There are many food chains, they are interacting with each other. Like grass can be eaten by many organisms. Like grass can be eaten by elephant, grass can be eaten by deer, grass can be eaten by grasshopper, and this grasshopper can be eaten by other organisms, this deer can be eaten. So the different food chains are interconnected and they are making a web or net-like structure. This interconnecting structure of the food chain is considered as food web. Okay, you can find it in your book. There is a diagram of a food chain. Okay, so now we can find different types of food chain in different environment. Like if we consider the main three, like grassland, like forest or pond. So first if I consider the forest, you can find that plant, deer, tiger. This type of food chain can be found in the forest. Now if I consider the grassland, next the plant, grasshopper and frog, eagle, hawk. Okay, so these will come under the grassland, and the last one, that is pond, that some zooplankton, then small fish, large fish, then any other fish eating bird. So these are the different examples of different ecosystem or different food according to their food chain. Now from this food chain, another important part you have to know, that is 10% energy law by Lindemann. Okay, so I was discussing about the different trophic levels. Okay, I was discussing about the different trophic levels. So in these trophic levels, how energy can be captured by the autotrophs and which is present in the sunlight, and they are converting into the chemical energy, and this energy will support all their biological activities, and some energy they will pass to the, that means rest of the energy will move to the heterotrophs and decomposers. Okay, so all green plants in a terrestrial ecosystem, they will capture the sunlight for preparing their food. So if I first consider the sun, that means solar energy, from solar energy it will pass to the producer. Only 1% of the solar energy will pass into the producer. Okay, but after the producer it will pass to the primary consumer. So in the next step 10% energy will pass, and from that it will pass to the secondary consumer, tertiary consumer. Okay, So that is why only 10% energy will be passed into the different trophic levels of a food chain, and this law is provided by a scientist Lindemann. That's why this energy law is considered as 10% energy law by Lindemann. So if I start with this 10,000 joule or kilocalorie, then what amount energy will be passed to the producer? 10,000 into 1%. So what we will get? 100 joule or kilocalorie. In the next level, what we will get? 100 into 10%. So only 10. So in the next one, 1. In the next 0.1, like that. Right? Yes, very good. Very good. So you can find the difference. You have to read that. You have to remember the difference mainly, that from the sun, that means from solar energy, only 1% of the energy will be captured by the producer. After that, we have to follow the 10% law. So 10% law will not follow from the starting. That means from the solar energy, only 1% energy will be passed to the next level, and after that, from the producer or the first topic level to the rest of the part, 10% energy law will be followed. Only 10% energy will be passed. Why? Why it is 10%? Because in the organism's body, there are different activities are going on. Respiration is going on. So the energy, if I draw it like this, so we can have to draw some side pathway, like some energy will be used by respiration, some energy will be not utilized, and some energy will be taken for some other body activities. Okay, that is why 90% energy will be lost for those different activities, and only 10% energy will be passed to the next topic level. Okay, so this is considered as 10% law of energy. And another thing, from this energy diagram you can understand, it is clear, very clear, that the flow of energy is unidirectional. The flow of energy is unidirectional. So that means energy will flow from first topic level to second topic level to third topic level. It will not revert back to third topic level to second topic level to first topic level. Okay, so energy flow is always unidirectional. The energy that is captured by the autotrophs does not revert back, okay, to the solar input, and the energy which passes to the herbivores, that does not come back to the autotrophs. As it moves progressively through the various topic level, it is no longer available to the previous level. That is why we call it that energy flow is always unidirectional. Okay. Another thing, you can find that food chain will be found which is having 4 steps. More than 4 trophic level, if it is there, as you can see that from the one step to the another step, 90% energy is lost, only 10% energy can be passed. So the loss of energy at each step is so great that very little usable energy remains after 4 trophic levels. Okay, that is why usually there are generally a greater number of individuals at lower trophic levels of an ecosystem, and the greatest number is producer. Okay, so questions may be asked from this portion. This part is very important. And next, another important part is biomagnification. Only some part is left. Today I will finish this chapter. Okay. So biomagnification. Biomagnification means insertion of some chemicals like some insecticides, rodenticides, herbicides into the food chain, and due to this accumulation of these chemicals in each trophic level, we have to see what will be the amount of this chemical in the highest trophic level. Okay, so it will amplify or magnify something, that is why it is considered as biomagnification. Okay, so I am repeating that in the field, different crop field or different places, we use several pesticides and other chemicals to protect our crops from the different diseases and pests. And these chemicals are washed out into the soil or into the water bodies, and from the soil these can be absorbed by the aquatic plants and animals. Okay, and this is where it is, this is the way by which this chemical is entering into the food chain. Okay, and these chemicals are not biodegradable, so these get accumulated progressively in each trophic level, and this is considered as biomagnification. So accumulation of chemical in each trophic level is considered as biomagnification. So as human, we also occupy the top level of the food chain. So the maximum concentration of these chemicals will get accumulated inside our bodies as we are occupying the top levels in the food chain, and this phenomenon is considered as this is reason that our food grains like wheat, rice, vegetables, fruits, we used in those there are different pesticides, cidal residues will be there, and these residues always will not be removed by washing. Okay, so another example you can imagine that from a industry, some amount of wastage will be mixed into the water. So in the water, so it may be 0.001 ppm parts per million. Okay, so from the water, on the water there are different small animals are dependent on the water. So from the small animals are consuming this. Okay, and a large fish is eating many small fishes. Can you imagine that how this amount is increasing? So first a little amount is mixed into the water. So this water is taken, huge amount of water is taken by small plants, and a large fish can eat many small fish. So from each of the small fish they are getting this chemical. So just imagine how this number is increasing, and at last if we eat the large fish, then, and we don't eat only one large fish, every day we are taking fish and some other vegetables, like this we are consuming huge amount of chemicals. Okay, so at first it was 0.002 ppm, but at the end it may be 25 ppm or more than that. It is just an example I am giving you. So just imagine how this number is increasing, and this is considered as biomagnification. Okay, and last part is there, that ozone layer. Ozone layer which is protecting our environment, and how it has been formed, and what is ozone. So you know what is ozone, that ozone is a O3 molecule, right? So ozone or O3 is a molecule formed by, as you can see, O3, so 3 molecules, 3 atoms of oxygen, right? So how this O3 can be formed, that when O2, which is normally referred to as oxygen, is essential for all aerobic forms of life, and as you know that ozone itself is a deadly poison, and it is protecting us from the ultraviolet ray. So what is ultraviolet ray? So you know that from the sun we are getting different type of rays like visible light, infrared, ultraviolet ray. So from these, ultraviolet ray is very harmful for us, and it is a poisonous substance. So one poisonous substance is protecting the another one, like ozone itself a deadly poisonous substance, and it is protecting us from the UV radiation. Okay, so it is ozone layer can be found around the earth's surface and protecting us from the UV radiation of the sun. This what is the effect of UV radiation? UV radiation can damage the organism, like it can cause skin cancer, breast cancer, leukemia, And there are different diseases which can be caused by the this UV radiation. So now we have to know that how this ozone has been formed. So at the higher levels of atmosphere, so this ozone has been formed because their UV radiation is acting upon the oxygen molecule. Okay, and the higher energy UV is split apart from the some molecular oxygen to into free oxygen atoms. So if I write O2, so that means it is a oxygen molecule, and if I write O, so this is the atom of oxygen. So how it has been formed? In the presence of UV, oxygen molecule will be splitted into oxygen atom, and these one oxygen atom will be fused with another oxygen molecule, and then O3 will be formed. So by this way ozone layer has been formed, and this is considered as formation of ozone layer. And after some time what happens, dissociation of ozone layer can be seen. That means the reverse process can be seen. This is considered as dissociation of ozone layer. Okay, so the amount of, so this is the ozone layer, and this is the, and I have mentioned what is the role of ozone layer. Now in the amount of ozone in the atmosphere began to drop sharply in the year 1980s. So there is a decrease in the ozone layer, and why? Because of the some chemicals main responsible is CFC. As you know the full form of CFC, that it is the chlorofluorocarbon, and in this compound you will find a chlorine compound which is very harmful. One chlorine molecule can destroy 1 lakh ozone molecule. Okay, so you can understand how harmful it is. So we are using CFC in the refrigerator, in the fire extinguisher. Okay, so from this we are getting the CFC, and which is damaging our earth by making a hole in the ozone layer. So as you have read already that ozone hole in the earth, and for that what will happen, that temperature, global warming and different other problems will be faced by the human. Okay, so we have to check that we have to reduce the amount of CFC and other substances which are making hole in the ozone layer, which is protecting us from the ultraviolet radiation. So in the year 1987, the United Nations Environment Program UNEP succeeded in holding an agreement to freeze CFC production at 1986 levels. Okay, so and the last part is that how do we manage the garbage we have produced. So all of us have seen that in our daily life we are producing many garbages. So we need to manage, and in my previous class already I have discussed about the how you can manage. So I will suggest you that in my next class I will ask question about this topic, and this is your homework, that you have to think that what are the different wastes can be produced and how these wastes can be that means prevented, or how you have to manage the garbage. What are the different eco-friendly ways by which we can manage the garbage. So with that we are completing this chapter. In my next class I will discuss about this topic. Okay, so already as you can see that time is over. So please everyone write down your names. Okay, and thank you and bye bye. And if you find any queries, ask me in my next class. Okay, bye bye everyone.